Disclaimer, this video is educational and informative in nature. Do not contact anyone shown in this video. Also, this video is discussing steroids. Do not use steroids. This is entirely for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Let me just start this video by asking a simple question. Do you think that a 17-year-old has the cognitive capacity or self-awareness to basically make extremely, massively life-changing decisions for themselves? Maybe you do, and that's, I guess, totally fine. But in my case, when I was 17, 18 years old, I did a lot of crazy things that I honestly regret to this day, and I don't feel as if those decisions were a part of who I am now in any capacity. If I could take my brain out now and put it into my 18-year-old self, I feel like I would be extremely successful right now and have avoided a lot of hardship in my life. But after all, I guess this is a part of life. You have to make some mistakes. You have to fall down pretty hard to get back up. But regardless of that fact, today we're going to be talking about a young gal named Connie. Now, interestingly, Connie is a 19-year-old. She just started competing when she was 17, actually competed when she was 18, and her profile starts off with a very simple transformation post, a series of them, showing the progress that she's made and how she's happy with it. In these posts, you can see that she looks very young, and it's just the beginning of her trying to sculpt her physique, a process that would, realistically take somebody 5, 6, sometimes 7, 8 years to make a really phenomenal physique. But you're soon to see that that's just not the case with Connie. Quite devastating, actually. But before we get too deep into this insane transformation of a 17-year-old little gal, subscribe. It helps out the channel massively. And if you're interested in it, there's a couple links down below in the description of this video that do help this channel quite a bit. Go ahead and check it out. If not, whatever. Keeping it short, let's keep rolling. Before we go, no Bugattis this time, all right? No Bugattis. I'm just kidding. If you subscribe, you get a Bugatti.
Yeah, I don't just have a normal Bugatti. It's a pure sport, custom color, custom everything, custom spec.
So just 100 weeks ago, she posted a picture with the caption, 10 months into lifting. Now, for those of you who find it a little bit hard to do math, like myself, that basically means 100 weeks ago, just under 2 years ago. So at this time, she's currently 17 years old, basically just starting her fitness journey. 10 months in really isn't that much time. Jay Cutler, for example, started when he was 18 and already had some really extremely impressive results, but really didn't end his career until about 16, almost 20 years later, folks. 20 years later. This is a long time competing. The process of bodybuilding is nowhere near as fast as some people can conceptualize it. And there is, of course, a lot of people who want to shortchange it in order to get results fast, which I really want you to pay attention to in this story because it's extremely relevant. We're going to fast forward a little bit because there's just a lot of the same stuff going on. She's really young and I don't want to waste your time. Basically, she's just been posting a lot of the stuff she's done in the gym for several months and just posts her physique like you would normally in a fitness account on Instagram. We've seen this a million times before. She was definitely getting some attention online and her TikToks ended up going viral a little bit later, which is great. And she does really well. We've basically heard this story before, but right around 60 weeks ago, so not that far out from the last post we just shared, something changes a little bit. You noticed something. She starts hanging around women who look to be clearly enhanced. The reason that I say this, of course, is because they're extremely vascular. They have an angular jaw. They have the telltale signs of a woman who's been using a little bit of masculine compounds, right? We're talking about anabolic androgenic steroids. And then you also start to notice that she's hanging around a coach, what I'm assuming to be is her coach and that coach's clients. Keep in mind, at this point, she's maybe 17, possibly 18. This is where my hypothesis really starts to dig in, actually. And the fact of the matter is, I think around this point, she probably started to leverage performance-enhancing drugs and specifically anabolic steroids. The reason for this is because just within a few months, I'm talking 2 months, literally, she changes entirely. Her structure as a person changes entirely. Her face and her physique both together. She's also posting with dudes who are prominently on the sauce. Dude has a sick physique, no doubt, but she's hanging around the right crowd, if you know what I mean. And I just want to break this down because I've talked about it many times before, but I do think it's really important, especially if you're in this environment that I'm going to talk about, because it is what makes a lot of people start their journey down the PED route. What you often see in bodybuilding is this walled garden approach, which I've talked about many times before, where basically inside everything seems great. Everything seems fine. What you often see is that people will do things that are not okay, but are perceived as completely normal. They behaviors and traits of a group is now sort of assimilated into the norm, and it's okay. Anything outside of that group is the thing that seems estranged or offensive or mean, and so they self-defense mechanism, it activates. They start defending against their habits and behaviors and justifying it with radical claims. You've seen this before with a lot of different things. And as you get closer and closer to the center of that walled garden, you start to gravitate more towards it, stronger and stronger and stronger, until it becomes your entire narrative. Any negatives from those norms that you're behaving in seem to basically have a lot less of a negative impact because the group you're with perceives them as less than. This is actually called, in real terms, social containment bias, essentially meaning where behaviors and risks are normalized within a close circle of people, making harmful or extreme behaviors feel acceptable or even optimal because everyone around you perceives them as normal. This is true for another community that I'm in as well, the motorcycling community. I love fast bikes. People around me do too. The problem is that the normal set standard is insane. Everyone wants to have the 200 horsepower motorcycle, even though with that being the fastest vehicle on the road, there's just no need for it. People end up killing themselves left, right, and center because they're chasing having a really fast motorcycle without ever having to actually learn how to operate that motorcycle. But because it's perceived as cool and what you're supposed to do in the community, a lot of people are gravitated towards that, even though most people would look at an 18-year-old buying a 212 horsepower motorcycle that weighs 400 pounds. I can't stress how insane that is. Like, you're going faster than any vehicle on the road. People would look at that and be like, no, don't do that. Like, let's get you out on the track on a fucking dirt bike or a supermoto bike before you go crazy. That just doesn't happen in the community. So it's virtually kind of the same concept. People do extremely dangerous things that other people would look at and be like, ugh. But in the community, it's seen as,
oh, he just doesn't understand us, bro. Like, he just doesn't get it. He's not hard like us. They'll never get us. How cringe. Oh, we're tough,
And they push away everyone else. Push away, push away, push away. I don't like your opinions. They don't agree with the norm that I'm in. Whilst everyone else who's outside of their little walled garden is looking at it and saying, man, they're doing some real bizarre shit in there. It's different. It's unsafe. It's unusual, which is kind of a normal biological reaction to what these people are doing. So considering that, okay, considering that she's surrounded herself with all these people, a coach, all whatever, right? I don't really know the whole situation here. Let's just look at a post that's quite literally only a few months later. Okay, so it's very clear that she's already put on a lot of lean mass. No doubt about it, the physique is really impressive. Not only that though, because unfortunately, if this was just all positives, we wouldn't be here talking. We've discussed a ton about how androgen exposure in women will cause mandible changes, or like your jawline to change, your brow ridge to change. A lot of bone growth and maturation happens in females when they start taking androgens due to androgen receptor activation around these sites, causing osteoclasts and blast cells to activate and grow tissue, grow bone in some cases. You start to see these in her photos around this period now too. And she starts competing actively at the age of 18, clearly already on some form of pharmacology. And I could talk to you about why that's probably the least morally and ethically appropriate thing to do. But I'll refrain from doing that. And I'll leave you with the fact that she had a coach, much older than her, by the way, guiding her through this process. She was 17 years old, 18 years old, somewhere around there. And you gotta just wonder, like, who's responsible for this individual who is knowingly, like, it's clear as day, taking a lot of pharmacology. And when I say that, I mean androgenic steroids, like steroids, bro. This is including her parents, right? Like, including her parents, by the way, which I find very, very strange. I think it's super strange that they would just accept this rapid morphological change within their daughter and see that as completely normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, how does my daughter have a deeper voice within 6 months and a radically changed physique and face? It's probably not a big deal. No, there's something there I'd be concerned about. And shortly after this, just a few months after, she starts posting a lot of content like this. And I honestly think that my editor's gonna have to blur some of this out, hopefully, please, so we don't get demonetized, because YouTube's guidelines are a bit more strict than Instagram. But you get the idea. These girls aren't just drinking milk, they're drinking the milk that's been centrifuged, filtered, and rebranded as Primobolan. And then she makes this post shortly after this one where she talks about this is what an 18-year-old can look like. And I was just kind of like shaking my head at this, the top comment, I guess, really resonated with me. Brooke Builds said, as an 18-year-old in the industry, we are too young to be taking gear. Insane a coach would allow that. Birth control is also a false equivalence. Very different hormones. And I couldn't agree more. Like a coach who was knowingly like in posts with her when she was 17 years old, man, it's almost questionable, right? I'm not going to say, this is all alleged, right? All allegedly, but maybe the coach didn't know anything and she was doing it behind his back, but it's interesting. That's it. At the end of the day, a lot of these people will do compounds without your help at all. Sometimes you can offer guidance and they're just going to do whatever the hell they want because they've already made it up in their mind that that's going to be the thing that gets them there. But I still, as a coach myself, would not put myself in a position of coaching someone that young ever, or even if I had a hint of them already using some kind of performance enhancing drugs. Clearly, if I was saying don't do this, I'm dropping them instantly. It's not my responsibility. I don't want that on my placard. Not only that, but I mean, you're involving yourself in changing somebody's life. Like, you know damn well that the permanent changes that they're about to experience will affect the rest of their life, which I'm just full stop at that age not okay with. Like, that's not good. Morally, I guess I would much rather have her have guidance than to have no guidance at all, for sure. But I also feel a bit of disgust in seeing this happen at such a young age. And the word disgust might be a bit big here, but what you've seen is just a handful of pictures and videos. You haven't heard her voice or seen the things that are happening internally within her life. Essentially, we're seeing the topical side of somebody who's going through the process, showing you once again the highlights of the process and not the downsides. So let's just start by playing a video of what she sounds like today.
Okay, so how did I get my knees leaner? I did anything mainly that could grow my quads, and also I trained everything else in my legs. It's really important that if you want to grow your muscles, you don't want to do it in a way that will give you imbalances, because that can cause injury, that can cause pain, discomfort, and it's overall aesthetically not as pleasing. Growing my quads, I did leg extensions, leg press, lunges, hack squat, really anything that can possibly grow my quads. Again, make sure you're also training your hams, training your glutes, do free motion, and also do machine work.
Yeah, so without really needing to say much here, because it's kind of obvious, there is clearly going to be some changes. She has a deeper voice than some of my male friends. And the reason this happens is because when a female decides to take masculinizing hormones to enhance her physique, it doesn't just build muscle. There are all these things called androgen receptors all over your body, and they accept these compounds that people take, anabolic steroids, and take the information that they have, encode that into RNA, and then basically have the cell do something in response to that drug. This is sometimes positive because that response can be activating muscle protein synthesis, activating mTOR, IGF-1 upregulation, these kind of things. But activation also leads to masculinization in men and women. It leads to bone growth, bone density increasing. It leads to vocal fold thickening. It leads to maturation of certain bones in the human body, jaw, brow ridge, things like that, cartilage in your nose and ears. I mean, you could get hair loss, acne development, you name it. There's androgen receptors all over your body, on your scalp, on your skin. It's everywhere. As a female, that doesn't sound so great, and it's because it's clearly not. If you expose yourself to a high enough dose for long enough, you will ensure, like, this will happen to you, experience these kind of effects, right? It's not a what if, it is a when kind of situation. And most coaches in the industry of bodybuilding are unfortunately too undereducated to understand that there are hundreds of compounds that a female can use that are non-masculinizing and non-hormonal to enhance a physique or performance without needing to take these male hormones. And when I say that, I'm referring to anabolic steroids once again, but generally the like of Freemable and Mastron and Winstrol, probably some others as well. Now, again, in complete transparency, I know nothing about her coach. I'm not saying he's a bad guy because he might be one of the best guys in the world. I don't know. Again, she could be doing this all behind his back and he could be painted out as a bad guy in this video. I don't necessarily want that to happen. All I'm saying is just a little weird. Regardless of all of this, I do think it's an important learning moment for you and I to see what a very short exposure to androgens can do to a woman. I mean, this is a 19-year-old girl. She started changing drastically at probably what was 17, 18 years old. In this case, I would probably assume she was taking Anavar. She's talked about it in a couple of her comments when people accuse her of taking steroids. She's not afraid to, she's not claiming natty by any means, basically. And look, Anavar is not a female steroid. It was never designed to be a female-only steroid. It's a crazy concept. It was designed to be used as a therapeutic androgen for females and young children, and it did work quite effectively. But what people often embellish Anavar as working effectively at all doses and durations, that's simply just not true. You see, the doses in which efficacy was found are astronomically low, like 2.5 milligrams a day, or alternate dosings where you dose once and then wait 2 days, dose another time and wait 2 days. What these women are doing is drastically higher than that for a much longer duration. We're talking in most cases, women doing a minimum of 10 milligrams a day. Keep in mind, the standardized dose to convert a female in female to male conversion therapy of hormones, of male hormones, in this case, usually topical testosterone, but they do use other agents as well, nandrolone being one of them. The standardized dose is 60 to 70 milligrams a week. Okay, so let's just take Anavar at 10 milligrams a day, 7 days a week. That's 70 milligrams a week. Do you see the problem here? But even if you cut that in half, even if you took 5 milligrams a week, give it a long enough time, it's going to cause effects. It is going to 100% cause effects. You have to realize the time cycle in which you can actually run these things as a female is exceptionally short. Yes, it's possible to take these compounds, like be okay with it. You're going to experience some changes no matter what, just flat out. But if you limit the exposure, the problem is that women will get on these compounds. They get stuck in that social containment bias where the feedback loop is good. It's you look great, you look better, you look good, you're strong, your lifts are going up, you're looking better, it's crazy, it's great. And so that duration, because they feel great, their lifts are going up, they're feeling awesome in the gym, they're experiencing some degree of euphoria, their sex drive is high, they're ramped up all the time. And then on top of that, all their friends, all their coaches, all their buddies are saying, it's great, it's great, it's great. The duration just ends up being a little bit longer. Sometimes even when your coach tells you to stop, you might just say, I'm going to take a little bit more or just a little bit longer. Look, I don't really know where this industry is going. It's kind of crazy. We just talked about an 18-year-old kid who has been claiming natty since 17, posting insane lifts, like record-breaking lifts, getting into the hospital because he jabbed himself with a dirty needle and getting an infection, a staph infection, which transferred to his heart and caused heart failure. So he had to go on life support. Dude was taking Tren and all the other SARMs and experimental compounds on the fucking planet, but this whole time he was claiming natty. Like, this is the norm now, right? We're having IFBB pro level physiques at people who are 18, 19 years old that never existed before, but suddenly they're just all over the place. Look, we know what's happening. And I don't know what this industry is fucking turning into, right? It's kind of crazy. And I am in no way, shape, or form, believe it or not, into demolishing or abolishing steroid usage. I, in fact, think it should be entirely legal. I think it should be fully legal. Anybody can take steroids whenever they want, as long as they're of age, similar to alcohol. I just simply would enjoy if people were healthy, if people were considerate when they took these things, but they're just simply not. It's so similar to alcohol usage, right? I would say the grand majority of people, the grand majority who consume alcohol, which is far worse in standards of health deviation, far worse than steroids, okay? But very similar to that, 90% of people probably drink responsibly or to some degree responsibly. Maybe they go out on the weekend, or maybe it's a once a month kind of thing. But there is the 10% that are wildly abusing alcohol. The same thing is true with steroids. If you're abusing astronomical doses, male or female, you're going to run into exceptionally fucking horrible circumstances. And I even think that there is a time and a place in professional sports where an athlete should be allowed to use performance enhancing drugs to elongate their career and improve their health. A take that not many people are going to like, but the reality is one of the things that stops people from having a really great career in sports is injuries. Guess what can heal an injury like nothing else? PEDs. What the real issue comes from is irrational, uneducated, emotional, and unplanned use of steroids, i.e. likely situations like this one. Look, after going through all of this, I hope you enjoyed the video, but I just want to leave you off with the video that she posted, which I found as an interesting sentiment to cap this one off. I'll catch you in the next video.
What I'm about to say is going to be very harsh, but your body is the physical embodiment, the truest embodiment of your mentality. You cannot expect someone to perceive you as a respectable individual if your physical projection, if your physical image is that of someone that doesn't take care of themselves and their health. You can't expect people to view you as someone that gets shit done, that takes care of shit, that has good relationships, that has a good financial situation, as someone that can do stuff for them if you can't do stuff for you. It's as simple as that. And moreover, you can't say that someone else caused you to be this way, because at the end of the day, your body is the representation of what you do with it, what you put into it. Those are the two things that make your body what it is. Your body is the amalgamation of every choice you've ever made. It is literally the result of every single decision you've ever had. Every single movement you've ever made, every single food you ate, every single drink you drank, every single hour of sleep you got. It is the embodiment of precisely that. And no one else can make you anything but that of what you want to do with your body. You can't say that this person stressed you out so you binge ate. You can't say that this thing happened to you so you became anorexic. No. This is a result of an inability to cope with your environment. And until you address that, you will not get the goals you want. You will not achieve the things you want. Your body, at the end of the day, is your actions. It is the embodiment of your actions. It is the result of everything you've ever done, and your body will impact how people view you.